Now, many of you will know that not only is NEO planning to launch Firefly onto the new countries that they announced, the 7 countries that they announced on the day of their Q1 earnings, but also where they've been selling their cars, like Norway, like Sweden, like Denmark, like Netherlands. They are going to sell the Firefly sub-brand. Germany, they are going to sell the Firefly sub-brand. And this, my dear friends, it makes us to look forward to Firefly in those countries, because we know that this is a model that is expected to do very well because of its price, because of how much it costs. And it gives me goosebumps, man, because this is a car that honestly will do very well. And if the two parties, the EU Commission, the Chinese government or regulators, are to agree onto a base price, we could see NEO sales recovering so well in Europe. Now, the reason why I'm reminding you or telling you about this is that apparently Firefly was seen in Netherland, in Amsterdam, right? Apparently the NEO house that is there, it was seen, it saw Firefly go in, and test drives of Firefly in Netherland, apparently they are going to start in July. And when they start in July, you already know what's gonna happen. It means that in the next couple of weeks we could see Netherlands starting with the sales of the Firefly sub brand, which, boy, I must say, what better way to obviously revive the sales of NEO into the existing 5 European countries that have been there for quite some time. I mean, in NEO cars, one of the things that has been making NEO cars to not do that well in Europe, like I've told you, is number one is the tariffs. Tariffs are too high, so making the NEO cars to be so expensive in a way that local residents or local consumers cannot afford to buy NEO cars. I mean, before even the tariffs, NEO cars themselves are quite pricey, are quite expensive, and therefore you can imagine what happens when there is an additional 20.8% of tariffs increased onto this or imposed onto this EV or Chinese EV makers like NEO. It's just so ridiculous. But the good thing, like I said, the two parties are talking, are sitting, and hopefully they strike a very, very good deal, or there is a deal that comes out that favors both parties, meaning that we get to see, of course, China also benefiting from the European market, in as much as the European market is also benefiting selling their cars in China. Yes, EU car companies, they've got factories in China, but some of these EU countries like BMW, I think, and Mercedes, there are some cars that they are exporting, or they are still exporting from Europe to China to sell. There are some models that they don't produce them in China, but rather they produce them in Europe, right? Which is something that, of course, to know that they are still able to also export those models into China and still sell, it is something that should also be reflected, or it should be something that I think it is discussed also, and it makes China to, of course, maybe negotiate to find a better, maybe base price for their cars also in Europe. One thing that the European market fears is obviously the flooding of Chinese EV cars, because number one, they are quite cheap. Most of them, they are for the mass market, and they are coming with massive technologies, and therefore Europe raising tariffs is that those cars, they make sure that they try to regulate that, right? They try to regulate their flooding, which is why I said even if the base price is to come, the cars that are going to be hurt the most are these mass market brands like your Firefly, because if Europe says that the best price for all Chinese EV exported cars is $30,000 all everywhere except Norway, because Norway is not participating in this. That simply means that obviously your Firefly, right, it's going to start at $30,000. But what happens to those cars like the BYD Seagull that starts around, I think, 18-20,000 dollars in Europe, right? This simply means that they are going to also face a serious impact because of that, because now the base price for that car will be 30,000. This is what it means. But again, for premium EV brand like NIO, who their cars are way over $30,000, this simply means that, look man, it's going to be good for them, because right now they will be able to readjust maybe their prices and still be able to do very well. And this to the distributors also, that will help them sell in a place when you did not physically penetrate themselves. It will be so good, so amazing to see this takes place if they agree on a 30,000 base price. This is what I'm just thinking. It can be 35, it can be any other deal, but one thing that is on the table is the base price for all the exported new energy vehicle cars coming from China into Europe, which we will still see how it unfolds, how it transpires, but hopefully, like I said, the two parties get to a solution as soon as possible, so that at least EV makers like NIO can get on or get going when it comes to selling their cars. So I am happy, I'm excited. Blue sky is coming, long term will in. Those that are persevering throughout the headwinds, the share price will most definitely be rewarded with time. It takes me some time to make these videos, and all I ask from you is to give it a thumbs up so that I at least can be notified by YouTube every time I drop a new content. Blue skies coming, and like I said, I am very happy about this, because in as much as the two countries have not come up with a deal, NIO has found a way to penetrate even more European countries before the tariffs could ease, which simply means that NIO can still be able to make some pretty decent money from this, because I don't think NIO would be taking Firefly, knowing very well that the two parties, the EU Commission and China, have not come to an agreement. This simply means that they, with the price that they are setting for these countries, they can still make some pretty good profit, some good margins, which hopefully it gets to recover the NIO sales in Europe. Second half, I foresee a lot of recoveries in terms of deliveries, not just in China but also in Europe, because you know that in September, yesterday, we're talking about Belgium starting with the deliveries of Firefly, which, boy, I must say, knowing that NIO's presence is almost felt everywhere, knowing that NIO is known almost everywhere, you and me can agree that NIO will do very well. There's no doubt about that. So yeah, man, I look forward to what's coming. Things should get better with time. Things should recover for NIO, and hopefully we see NIO getting what it deserves even on international markets, because their cars are quite competitive, and their after sales services are also on another level, which is something that will make NIO to win in the long term. Like, share, subscribe. See you on the next one, my dear friends. Taking some time to make this video. That's all from me, and God bless you all.